Okay, cool.
Do you want? So they have these. They have these yerba mates over in the cooler there. You want a beverage?
Yeah, I'll try one.
So there's there's the enlightened mint and there's a grapefruit ginger. I recommend the grapefruit ginger. Yeah, you can't go wrong with ginger. It's good. It's good for you.
You can't really go wrong with grapefruit either.
No, you can't.
I love grapefruit.
So cheers. Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
Too.
What is the cheers that you use? Is it l'chaim?
Yeah, l'chaim.
L'chaim.
Yeah,
L'chaim.
good job.
So it's with a little bit of the
That's usually the thing that's hard for people to.
yeah, a little bit of a roll there. So how's your morning? How's your morning here at the forest?
It's been nice. This festival for me, I was here at Rothbury about 10 years ago, and this is the first time I've been back, and I'm in a fun situation coming back to it at this point in this stage and what I'm doing, and so it's cool because I got a nice set on the big stage here, and I had one last weekend, but they also gave me it was my birthday last night.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
No way. Happy birthday.
And so I'm 38, and also last weekend, so we had a late night sort of psychedelic jam session and a lot of different artists sitting in. Like we had last night percussionist from Lotus and Kofreezy, another percussionist. And the week before we had the drummer from Talk and a bunch of different cats sitting in. So it was just cool, and basically as of recently I just signed 3 boys that have a band. Their name is Orphan. And
What's the name? Orphan?
Orphan, yeah. And they live in my house and practice their music like all day long. So I got them basically like their first gig was last night because my band couldn't make it in time. So they came and they played, and I just, messed around a little bit, but they got a chance to play. So they have their whole crew, which is all these kids from Crown Heights that are all like kids of families of 12, like, all their parents are rabbis, their brothers are rabbis, and they're like just festival crazy tripping kids and having fun. So the whole crew comes. So instead of typically when you're at a certain point playing festivals all the time and whatnot, your tour bus rolls through, you play your gig, you get on, you roll to the next one. It's just another stop on the map. But for me, at this stage in the game, I came with these boys I just signed. Their boy Mayer's got an RV. He drove it straight from New York, and we're all camping out and just wilding out at night, going to listen to music. They're playing music for the first time, and last weekend I had I was this was a good metaphor for the situation. It was I had mud on my sneakers because it was muddy the night before, and we were out
last weekend.
Yeah, and I sat in with lettuce and string cheese, and just throughout the day I just sat in with a bunch of different just great artists that are friends of mine, and the next day for my show I was do I put on my clean shoe, do I try to clean off these shoes, I'm an artist, I'm supposed to go on stage, I'm supposed to I came to press, I didn't look this way 5 minutes ago, you know what I mean? I was I'm gonna put on my nice shirt, but I was you know what, I'm gonna leave the mud on my sneakers, because that's that's what it's all about, you know what I mean? And being that
Can't trust a man if he doesn't have a little mud on his sneakers, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
I have a little on mine. We had to push somebody out of the mud this morning. There's
Really?
cars getting stuck out all over there in the campground.
Yeah. and I came from this scene, and that I was a fish kid, a fish lot kid.
Sure.
When I was 17 years old, and so to kind of have a career and come back into it all business, and then to be at a stage later where I can come back and say all right, let me bring these young boys into it, do my set, have fun, and actually be at the festival. It's kind of a new place for me in sort of appreciation of the whole thing, that this kind of thing even exists. To be honest, it kind of blows my mind that this is allowed to happen, you know what I mean?
This festival here,
this festival in particular, but festivals in general, the fact that in our world that we live in today, that we're allowed to go into a forest and set up stages with power and trip the fuck out for not only one weekend but 2 weekends, the fact that that's even allowed to happen is a huge blessing, you know what I mean? So coming to the festival and doing like late night sets or sit-ins and stuff like that. It's like it gives you the opportunity to, you know, to be a part of a scene, of a collective. And you see your friends over the years that are playing in different bands, and you come. Everyone's got their careers and doing their things and their tours and their solo projects, and then you come to a festival and you're like, oh, you know, my 5 best friends who are all drummers, you know, Adam Deitch, Mark Giuliano, like all these cats, they're all here, and I'm like, you know, fuck, dude, like some of the best drummers playing right now, you know.
Gotta use them.
Yeah, and you get to see them at a festival and sit in and make music, and so it's cool. And at a festival situation, and this in particular type of thing where people are really open, you're playing for the crowd that allows you as an artist, if you're an artist, to be an artist. Right. There's always pressures, especially when you're playing big stages, big shows, big festivals, to like try to, you know, really like wow the audience, or, you know, it's almost like a sporting event, like you're gonna like knock their socks off, you know. But in a situation like this, if you, someone like me, I can come out onto the stage and I can completely deconstruct my whole set, no set list, and be vulnerable. And the audience is patient and appreciative of that kind of performance. Even if they're not even aware of it, they sort of want to be taken to that place. So it's like I can cut. I was like, I don't, all the bullshit that's usually in my ears about like, oh, you should play this song now, or speed up the tempo a little bit, or that all goes away from me, like in this kind of environment where I can just be like, oh, cool, like I can just make music, you know.
Yeah, once you're in the moment and whatever's right for the show that day.
Exactly, and that's how I try to do every show. I never write a set list, and I'd say 70% of my show is probably improvised every night. But when you're playing in front of a crowd that wants that, then it's like, it's just fun. It's just like so much fun, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So mostly no set lists? Is
no,
that right?
Never. I never write a set list.
Never.
Yeah, never. I mean, I have in my career, but in the last, I would say, 3 years, I just decided it just didn't work for me. Yeah. Because it's like it's a structure. Like I get that if someone's putting on a show, they want to have a vision of how their show is going to, you know, take the audience on a journey. But to me, an authentic journey, like, you can't construct it. You know, you can create the atmosphere with lights and musicians and music and a sound and even song beds. But I mean, then it's going to open up and something new, unique will happen, something interesting.
There's something a little bit more truthful to that. And that's a very, coming from such a big fan of Fish.
Yeah.
And that type of sort of long form music where it sort of grows with the audience and what's happening there.
It's it's like it's like you're giving basically the idea, and that's what I learned from Fish, really, and going to Fish shows when I was a kid, was like, I'm given the space here to be and find myself through music, lights, dancing, movement, interaction with people, you know, all in this environment. And that's what the band provides. It's not about them. It's not about like Trey ripping a solo. Yeah, it is like he's taking us somewhere, but it's really like the subtlety and the humility of the musicians to just allow this space for everyone, for the audience, for there like be no barrier. Like you're all there together, kind of creating, and that's to me has like always been the goal, to try to cultivate that type of audience and to be able to play that type of music regardless, like without compromise.
Yeah, create that space.
Yeah.
And having at a festival, especially one like this, is a perfect place for that type of expansion, exploration to kind of happen. So I want to talk to you about something. I recently listened to your interview with Pete Holmes, that great 2-hour talk you did with him.
Yeah, cool guy.
Cool guy, and I gotta say, I really admire, and I think it's inspiring the way you talk about creating that type of space and the type of spiritual journey that's available there, and for you in general over the course of your career.
Right.
It's a long story. We don't have to go into a lot of it. But I just want to commend you for talking about it so openly. I think it's an inspirational thing.
It's like a rare thing. A lot of times people shy away or don't want to talk about a lot artists or don't want to talk about it, and it's cool when you meet someone like Pete Holmes, who's just like, he's just like, yeah, that's what I want to discuss, you know. And even like I was recently on a hip hop show. Do you know Sway in the Morning?
Okay.
Hip hop artist on He's got a morning show on right now on Shade 47 on Sirius, and it's like probably one of the biggest hip hop shows in the nation. And you know, I get on there and he's just like, I need to know some things, like please, like, you know, and it's like, cool, this is an opportunity, you know, that for him to get, he's got a ton of rappers coming into the studio that he can ask about all different types of things. How many times does he have someone coming in who's Jewish, who came from this whole journey but understands the music, and is, so he's able to ask a whole different type of question, and it's able to set off a whole different type of conversation. So it's cool to be that kind of piece that I can stimulate that kind of thing, because that's what at the end of the day, like, that's what the whole thing was about. Like, you see how no matter where you come from, there's a certain understanding that people from different cultures can get to through music, and that's just proof that, like, humanity is bigger than anything else. You know what I mean? So,
and they say that music came before words.
That makes sense. I believe that.
Which is something that I don't have any scientific evidence in front of me to back that up right now. But it's just something I heard recently, and I thought, wow, that's a powerful thing.
I never heard that. That's cool. It makes sense, though.
Yeah. And that type of connection is important. So, well, that's great. So what's this new album? I love. It's great. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Undercurrent.
Undercurrent.
Right?
Yeah.
And the top track especially. I know it's the first one, but there's a beautiful line about how ancient melodies coming back to you now.
Yeah.
That's how it goes, right?
Ancient melody, come back to me. Come back to me now.
And I want to ask you, how does that speak to your songwriting process? What's your songwriting process like when it comes to approaching the music?
Well, for this particular record, and what I've sort of found, the way that I organically like to make songs. I mean, I love to make songs like with my bass player, my producer, who is my producer, Stu Brooks. You know, just the two of us in a room together, and you know, he'll create a track with drums and bass, keyboards, and I'll come in and do vocals on it. And we have similar taste and style, and it's easy and it's fun, and you're with your homie and you're in the studio. And that's one way to make records. You know, you come in, bang it in the studio, and I just write and do my thing in there, and then we do some post-production. So I have songs like that. But then, like the record, and that was like my last EP. I have a lot of songs like that with different producers and stuff. But when I do a record, I kind of like, my approach is a little bit different. Like, I see it more as this is sort of like the picture of like where I am for these 3 to 4 years of my life, right? Because by the time you're writing, recording, promoting, and touring a record, start to finish, you're looking at probably like 3 years at least. So, you know, when I look back on my life, you know, I literally look at the records and I'm like, okay, Live, it's shake off the dust. Man, like, okay, 22 years old, getting permission to leave yeshiva so that I can record this music in some guy's like loft in Dumbo. Okay, boom, like Live at Stubbs, like I go back to that time, youth, you know, the whole thing, and my whole philosophical approach to life and my whole existential approach to everything. I put everything into that music, you know, into those words and the sound. So now what I've come to is like sort of, I don't want to say, a little bit of a more veteran kind of mentality of like just knowing what the sound is and how to get the sound that I want, you know what I mean? And who the players are that can give it to me. So I'll sort of have a vision for a sound, and that'll happen by improvising live night to night, because I tour a lot, and that's where I am more than being with my homie in the studio. I find myself in Des Moines, Iowa, in Lansing, Michigan, in whatever little city on the map, improvising with my band, and I'm like, all right, how do we create the sound that we want in this moment? So that's how it happens first, and then it's finding the players that can do that live without me having to guide them, you know what I mean? Guys that understand music in the same way that I do. Yeah. And everyone actually coming from a completely different place, 4 members musically, but also being able to understand each other, because the reason they're all there is because of the sound incorporates what each of them do. And they each come from a unique place. You know what I mean? It's not like 4 guys that study bluegrass and they know bluegrass, or like 4 cats from Jamaica that know reggae music. These are like guys with completely different musical backgrounds. So basically my approach to it is more of like seeing it as a band record, a band mentality, recording everything like live in the studio, real instruments, doing as minimal like overdubbing and production as possible. Songs, as you know, are like 8 to 9 minutes long, 8 songs on the record. And basically we came off tour, went right into like a rehearsal space every day for a month, listened to our jams from tour, like recordings, you know, shitty little recordings or whatever in a little room, and started developing.
You record some of your shows on?
Yeah, we just recorded it on some like, you know, crappy little recorder or whatever, just so that we can listen back and be like, oh, remember Soundcheck Cleveland, you know, in March. I remember that sound check. We hit some kind of crazy little jam, like what was some Afro beat thing that we've never done before. Like, let's revisit that. So then we'll go back. So we did a month of that, and at that point we don't come to the studio with like 50 songs. We had 8 like bodies of music, and then we go right in and improvise live in the studio, record them with parts that we've worked out and arranged, and then I have literally a fully recorded instrumental record before I've even put any vocals on it, or even organized my lyrics. So I'll sit with that for even just a day or 2, and then I basically just post up in a hotel room that's walking distance from a studio with nobody in it except the engineer, and I just go between sleep, writing, the studio, and putting it down, and I do that for about 2 weeks, 10 days. I did that about 10 days on this record, and at the end I have the record, you know, and it's kind of a cool way to do it, because usually you write the song, you know, record it, and then figure out how to translate it live on tour. This is totally the opposite. It's like, what's the sound? We're getting that from live shows, from tour. Okay, now we're working every way backwards. So now when it comes down to time to play these songs live, it's like, oh yeah, like this is what I do. This makes sense. It's not like, okay, I just recorded a bunch of pop songs. It was fun, but now people want to hear those songs, and like I can't really hit that range every night, and I don't really feel like fucking singing pop songs every night. It's like, no, this is the record. This is what we do. And it feels very natural, organic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on, right on. So the shows have been going well here at Forest so far?
Yeah.
Did you say you were at Rothbury 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think this is the 10-year anniversary from when I was there.
Were you at the first one?
Yeah, I think it was the first one. It was like, what, did Dylan play?
I think that was the second year.
Okay, so I was the second. I was at the second year when Dylan was there.
How was that for you, being here that second? Because that was super early.
Yeah,
in the incarnation of what
it feels like
now.
Almost a different lifetime ago. But there's a cat from Crown Heights, this dude Beryl, who's hanging out with me. He's like 6'5", and when I was touring a lot, and I needed help with my kids. I have these little kids. He's like the oldest brother, 12 kids. He's got three sets of twins that he's had to look after, and he always had my back, and he'd have my kids, and he'd sometimes come out on tour. So I remember like this tour, seeing him and like running to stage and seeing this big dude like carrying my like 5-year-old and my 4-year-old or something, and being like, all right, Beryl's got him, it's all good. And he's gone on to do all kinds of interesting things. He's working with this incredible artist in Jerusalem who's painted the whole entire like Shook, like street art. It's crazy. This kid, right, from Crown Heights, but I literally haven't seen him in years, and he showed up. Like, he's here
this
right
weekend?
now. Yeah. Beryl showed up. I saw him last night. He's like, comes to the campsite. I'm like, dude, like, that's like, you know, just crazy.
Reconnection seems to happen here.
Yeah, it's like cosmic kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Well, happy birthday. It sounds like that show went well.
Yeah.
That was at, which stage was that?
Last night?
Yeah.
That was at the Grand Artique stage. My friend Ian, who runs that stage. And he's just a really cool guy, and it creates like a really cool atmosphere. It's one of those stages, like it's not even on the, you know, You won't even see it like on any map or anything, but you go over there and then you're just like, what is this cool little spot? Yeah.
I said I was coming over here to talk to you, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, he just performed last night." And I was like, "What? I didn't see it on the schedule. It's not on the map."
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, it's not on the map."
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, it's not on the map. You got to know.
That's cool. Right on. Well, good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. So that album's out now. What's next for you? Let's go.
We're going out on tour literally from here. The bus pulls into Electric Forest at 2 a.m. and I get off the RV.
Is that tonight?
And I leave my little forest festival mode and go into work mode, and we're going out playing Des Moines tomorrow night at Willie's, and then doing a month of our own shows and shows with UB40. So it's pretty cool. Raging Fire, we got a little reggae thing happening.
Right on.
And then be out on tour this fall. I'm going to Europe. I'm playing my first show ever in the Philippines, which is crazy. I got like crazy fans in the Philippines, bro. Like diehard one day cats, like X Factor, like these cats like just crush one day. Like one of them is actually going to be, I think, in LA on this tour like in a couple weeks at the Greek Theater, and he hit me up and I'm like, yo, you're singing one day at my show. This kid, he's incredible, this dude from the Philippines. But yeah, so that's cool.
Awesome.
And then we do a big fall run, so I'm gonna be out just playing dates and just grinding and making music for like the next, I don't know, till the end of the year, and then hopefully be able to sit back for a minute and figure out what's next.
I love that, man. Well, I really appreciate what you do. Not only the music, but the way you make the music, and the way you talk about it, and the way you explore it, and the way you're bringing up younger guys too along with you, and, and showing them the ways.
It's such a blessing to be able to do that. Like to be able to have, like, I'll tell you the story with these kids, right? So, this one kid, Chaim, his father's a rabbi in Berkeley, a Chabad rabbi in Berkeley. He's an awesome dude. And when I started out touring, I would always stop at every Chabad house in every city, because that's the only food I would eat, and I wouldn't stay in hotels and stuff with the band. I didn't want to be a part of the lifestyle. So when we would get to a city after sound check or whatever, at the end of the night, I would go back to the rabbi's house. And oftentimes, I'd be leaving a venue that I sold out with like 6,000-7,000 people, and I'd be getting picked up in a station wagon by the rabbi, and like all his kids in the car, like get up into the back, and like next thing I know, I'm like sleeping in the basement, like next to Shmuley and Levi, like, Wow. And that was so. This rabbi had this kid Chaim, and he's like, I don't know what to do with this one. He's like, I got 10, they're all in good spots, but this one, like, he's giving me a run for my money. And he got him some instruments, he got him some drums, and I would, over the years, check in with him. And he was on the path for sure. He went on like a wilderness therapeutic like type of treatment thing, and he was like struggled, with the religion and finding himself. And he ended up in a yeshiva where kind of a lot of kids like him were at, sort of not the run of the mill, the kids that didn't fit anywhere else, but that come from Lubavitch homes, real Chabad, like Hasidic homes. Mm-hmm. And it was right when Live at Stubbs 2 had come out, and by this point, he was like really into music. And he meets like all these kids there, and they have instruments in the basement. And instead of really studying Torah, they're watching Live at Stubbs 2 and studying like my bass player and his gear, and how the way they play, the dub trio, the band, and the music and the lyrics and the whole thing. Yeah. So they come out of this yeshiva as a band, and they basically like formed on the music that I was playing, so they have a certain understanding of it and the feel. And from Brooklyn, there's a certain grit to it that I haven't really heard from a lot of other, like, honestly, Jewish artists and musics that have been presented to me. So it's kind of cool. They're not religious, but they're on their own path, and they come from like hardcore families that are the real thing, but they're kind of connected with my music, so it's all sort of cycles through. So one day Chaim just like out of the blue texts me. He's like, I'm in New York. I'm like, I need a ride from the airport, pick me up with a joint or whatever. And he picks me up and he's like, Matis, let me play you some of the music I'm working on. And he plays me like his beats, and I'm like, dude, they're really good. So, and then he has the crew come, he moves in with me just to set up my studio, set up his studio, make music as like my in-house kind of engineer. So he's like, yo, you got to hear my band. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. He's like, come jam. I'm like, I don't jam, dude. I'm on the road 200 days a year. Like, I'm past jamming. I'm not coming to Crown Heights to hang out with your friends and jam. And like finally he's like, Modest, you got to hear the band. I'm like, all right, bring them up. So we set up my whole back line. I have my back line at the house. I live on the river, on the Hudson River, in a big old kind of like colonial haunted house actually. And it's on the river, and we set up we set up every, like the bass cabinets and the drums, and all his boys come, and they're wicked good. Like, they're really good. So they all moved in. I signed them. Like, I wasn't looking to sign any artists or really be like a mentor or that. I kind of was hoping that could happen at some point, but I wasn't gonna force it if the right situation didn't happen. And then these kids just showed up, and they like moved in, and like it just created this incredible energy in my house, because I've got 3 little boys that are 12, 11, and 6. So it's like me, I'm not married. It's me, a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and 3 22-year-olds. And then on the weekends, their crew. And it's just like, it's insanity. And they give my kids music lessons. My kids are seeing this music being created.
Oh, no way, that's great.
And it's kind of like, we all eat dinner together, we make dinner, we all take care of the house together. You know, they help take the kids to school, and it's kind of like a real, it's how I would, if I ever wanted to be like a manager, it's how I would want to be involved with a band full. Like, I can intercept shit that, like, you wouldn't know how to deal with. Like, here's an example, right? Like, the guys are jamming, and I see like they're getting kind of frustrated. The bass player's frustrated about something, and he yells at the guitar player like, turn down, you're too loud, you know? And then he's like, dude, your tone, I don't like that tone. So I'm like, all right, wait, wheel back. I like stop the music. I'm like, okay, when you're talking to your guitar player, you can yell at him to turn down the volume if he's too loud, that's cool. But you can't yell at him about his tone. That's like a conversation you gotta go take a walk, you know, and have an understanding about. And little shit like that like bands fight about and get like resentful, I can kind of like help guide them through, which is just a cool way to be able to like give to a band, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a powerful thing.
So it's fun. It's like a whole situation, kind of beautiful situation.
And that's how that comes out, because so that everybody comes out of it bigger than the sum of its parts.
Yeah,
right?
Because they're not that great musicians. They're really not, you know.
But together
they create this. They have this certain vibe and spirit that, and like vulnerability. And that's what I was telling them about last night, because we played this set, and you know, they were talking about like someone sat, like there's different people sat in or whatever. Someone sat in and like, oh, it was great, and I was like, yeah. And like, no, he's got, you know, he did everything great, you know, but what he was lacking was vulnerability. And there's a lot of people that are great at their instruments, and they can do all kinds of cool shit. But when you see an artist come on stage and is vulnerable, that is holy, like literally, like a hole, you know, like it. You know,
like a hole.
Yeah. The way I got that is that I was wearing all these ripped clothes from my set last week, and I came off, and there was like a dad walking with this like 4-year-old backstage here, and the kid's like, Daddy, why does he have all these holes? Like, why does he have all those holes in his clothes? And Dad goes, because he's holy. It's like such a dad thing to say, right? And I'm like, yo,
that's one of the best dad jokes ever. That's great.
It's really cool. It's like, that is the thing. Like, as an artist, it's like you put your vulnerability. You are supposed to open yourself up, and that's like, you know, if a band or an artist has that, and then they have an understanding of the music, they can develop the skill to create it. You know.
Yeah, the getting out of your own way and getting the ego out of the way and opening up.
Yeah,
that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Right on.
Yeah,
but it's worth the work.
20 years of music school, you know, that helps too.
10,000 hours and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely, man.
I know you got places to be and a show to play and a tour to go on. But yeah, thank you for everything you do.
Absolutely.
I love what you do, and have a great show tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, Modest, this has been good. This is Chris at GRTV, Public Access, Grand Rapids 25. This is Matisyahu at Electric Forest. Thanks for tuning in.